My experience really was just about a psychological abuse where I felt I was going mad.
Alan's abuser was his wife. For years he suffered alone. She bullied and belittled him, and when he finally tried to get help, he was ignored.
I was thinking I ought to be able to handle this situation. I ought to be able to sort of sort this situation out. I ought to be able to make the marriage work. When I made a complaint to the police about my wife, I was laughed at by the officer who came round.
Alan believes this was because he was a man. He feels male victims of domestic abuse for too long have been sidelined and silenced. Official figures show 1 in 3 domestic abuse victims is a man. That's around 450,000 victims in the UK per year. But the real figure could be much higher, with men twice more likely than women to hide the abuse they are suffering, and fewer places where men specifically can get help. Campaigners say this has to change.
A very common experience is for a man to be forced to leave his home, even his family, and have nowhere to go other than to a homeless hostel or to the streets. And when you look at the reasons for homelessness, violent relationship breakdowns are one of the major reasons why men become homeless and even rough sleeping. And that's scandalous. It really should not happen in 2019.
It's a freezing morning in Liverpool, not an ideal place for a swim or a typical place to talk about male domestic abuse.
We wanted to highlight domestic abuse with men. It was set up in tribute for our great mate Paul, who we lost, tragic circumstances.
Their mate, Paul, died after being attacked by his girlfriend. They discovered he'd been a victim of domestic abuse repeatedly, but was too embarrassed to say.
Our friend would be here today, Paul Lavelle. He loved this, but he's not here. And it's not recognised that it's happening to the likes of Paul and other men, and it should be. It's wrong and needs to stop.
A swim can't bring back their friend, but it can bring men together to talk, to tackle the stigma for male survivors and help them help themselves. Katerina Vitozzi, Sky News in Liverpool.